Hey, Gremlins. The Dark Moose is here. Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Welcome in. Happy Blasphemous Sunday to you, too. We love that. Hello, hello. Welcome in. Welcome in. I just jumped on here, so we're going to give it a couple minutes for everybody to get on. I'm going to share this around a couple times. Get some of the folks in here. E.T., right? Yay! Bree is here. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, everybody. There's like 12 of y'all in here already. You guys jumped in here quickly. That's super cool. Welcome to Sunday school. Of course, be waste wise. Thanks. So my garbage and recycling app just notified me, but So if you guys missed the post I just made, I found a good way to I set up a booking situation for me so that if you guys want to book private lessons, tarot readings, mentorship, troubleshooting with your spell work and stuff like that, as well as any spell consultations that you guys have to do with me, there's now a booking option in my Linktree that will allow you to book with PayPal directly through there, and then it sets up it'll give you a time and an availability, and it'll also set up so you can get text and email reminders of your appointments with me. It also lets me set up my own schedule so I can kind of dictate what days I'm available to do those readings, to do those consultations and stuff like that. So it'll allow me to schedule myself a little bit better as well. And it'll make it easier for you guys, because when you book through Etsy, you don't really get a schedule. You can't pick your time and day kind of thing. This will make it a lot easier for you guys. So I'm really excited about that. I've just put it in the Linktree tonight, so we will see how that goes. I'm just going to give it kind of a trial run. There is a listing on there that's a $5 listing if you guys want to donate because of Sunday school. You don't have to. It's still going to be completely free, but the option is there. Feel free to show your financial gratification for all of this work tonight by hitting up my tip jar. Tonight we're going to talk about broke bitch witchcraft and how to go about doing witchcraft when you're on a budget, don't have a lot of stuff available to you, and or just don't have a lot of energy. This is also going to be low spoons witchcraft, which is kind of funny for me because I'm somebody who teaches you guys the very bare bones of witchcraft and how to use the very basics of stuff. Meanwhile, I'm over here pulling out fumitory and the most advanced shit possible. But we all got to start somewhere. So we're going to talk about broke witchcraft tonight, and it'll be a lot of fun. We have a few people in here already. Canadian Bacon 87. What's up? I like you already because I love bacon. I'm going to talk for probably about the first hour. We're going to have our discussion part where I kind of do my whole blurb. And then in the last hour of Sunday school, I'm going to take some questions. I'm going to take feedback. We did with the first Sunday school, I did talk for probably about 20 minutes and then stopped and took some questions. I might do that as well. Some of the things that we're going to go over tonight in Sunday school is where to source your ingredients, how to do limited ingredient witchcraft, a little bit about substitutions, but not a lot. But one of the things that I'm going to teach you guys in this live that I think is going to be super, super useful for you guys is how to make sigils, because sigil workings are some of the fastest, easiest, and most customizable ways to do witchcraft. They're also super cheap because all you need is to know how to make them correctly, a pen and a paper and some fire. Don't even need a lot of fire. You need minimal amounts of fire. So we're going to go over a few different things. Sigil work is some of my favorite kind of stuff to do. If you guys have watched any of A Witch's Wheel, what do you mean by the Witch's Wheel? Do you always use fire or can you use any element? I always use fire to activate my sigils. Always. But I'm also somebody who's just like naturally drawn to starting fires when it comes to my witchcraft. So that's just a personal preference for me. I am going to get into, I'm wanting to try out doing some wax warmer witchcraft because yesterday's spell got me in trouble for the amount of smoke that it produced. It produced a lot of smoke last night. So there's a need to kind of like alter things. So we're going to talk about that as well tonight. Hello, Tennille. Happy Sunday. I heard you could use a witch's wheel for making your own sigils. I have to Google what a witch's wheel is because I don't know what that is. I usually use a, like I was going to show you guys my method for sigil making, but I'm going to Google that really quickly just to make sure so I can kind of talk about it. Okay. I know exactly what you're talking about now. Yes. So you can use a witch's wheel in order to make sigils. There's a couple different methods of sigil making that we're going to talk about now, or that we're going to talk about tonight. One is the one that I use very often. I'll also do some talking about the witch's wheel. You know what? Hold on. We're gonna do something really quick. I should have done this before I started this, but I didn't think about that. So we're just gonna do something really, really, really quickly. Yeah, because I should have thought about this beforehand, but I didn't. So we're going to, I'm going to make something really, really quickly on my computer, and then I'm going to print it off, and this will make shit substantially easier for us. Was there raw egg in it? Because that could be why, if there was raw egg in it. What just happened? No, stop. This just doesn't want to work for me today. Hold on, we're going to crank this up. Yes, if you guys have to leave at any point during Sunday school, I will be posting all of my Sunday schools on my YouTube channel so you guys can catch up on that. I'm just really quickly going to make up this document and then print it off, and then we're going to get going. So, last week's Sunday school was a little bit of a rough go, not going to lie. It was a little rough over there. However, this week's Sunday school, I'm hoping to be a little bit more organized and getting shit done. Can I resize this hoe? Not realizing that we were gonna end up needing diagrams tonight. Okay. Oh, shit. Okie dokie. Give me one more second. Because I did not plan this the way that I was supposed to. Oh, sweet. It's already up here. Okay, hold on. I really, really wish somebody would send me a whiteboard. A whiteboard would make this. So I was actually saying that when I was talking to Bree earlier today, that I need a whiteboard. I'm going to just really quick, hold on. That one? That's Lucifer. Hold, please. Okay, I've got it printing now. Okay, I've got it printing off now, so we will have our stuff to work off of for sigils very soon here. That was a little bit of a complicated process just because my printer only works from my phone and it doesn't work from my Chromebook, which I never understood. It's fucking complicated. But we've got the information that we need. So that's what matters. I know Canada Post charges like ridiculous amounts of money to ship from where you are. Like anytime I have to ship something down your way, it is so expensive. And it's a nightmare. And it takes forever too. Like I go to ship anywhere. It's cheaper to ship to the States than ship within Canada. Okay. So I'm going to have to mirror this because our image is backwards. So just give me a second to do that. Um, bu- 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 no. There we go. That was very hard. Can you guys see this the right way? Like, are these, because they're backwards for me, so hopefully they're the right way for you guys. And then we're going to utilize it. Okay, perfect. So since we're talking about broke bitch witchcraft, one of the easiest and most cost-effective ways, I hate when I mirror this video. It always freaks me out. It makes my face look crooked. So one of the easiest, cheapest, and most customizable ways to go about creating spell work or adding properties to your spell work is through sigil workings. And I have two different charts here on the top. We've got the witch's wheel, as Nami called it, and then we've got our numerology chart in the bottom. So I had to get a pen because I didn't grab that either. Super unorganized. So with these two different methods of sigil making that we have with the wheel and then the chart, with both of these, what you're going to do is take a phrase. So I'm going to get suggestions. Give me a phrase in the comment section to use as an example phrase. And I will show you guys how to do this. And these phrases can be very simple or they can be long phrases. I would prefer to do something simple, but if you want to do something long, yeah, protect me. Okay, let's do that. So we've got two. We've got actually three. So I am protected. This home is protected. And bring in positivity. So I'm going to use these three phrases that we have here to demonstrate three different methods of making sigils. So with all of these methods that we're going to use here, we're going to pick our first phrase, which is I am protected. And we're going to use this first phrase up here, the I am protected phrase, to demonstrate how we would use the witch's wheel to make a sigil. Yes, it should be in the form of a command or an affirmation. You always want to have your words formed in a way that's like a power form so that it helps to like drive forward your intention. So the first thing that we're going to do with this one, now I always take out the vowels of every sigil that I make. So in this situation with the first one, which is I am protected, the witch's wheel does have the vowels on it. So if you really wanted to, you could use every single letter in this phrase, okay? But to save and simplify, because you don't need all of them, I'm going to take out, am I going to take out the vowels? Yes, I'm going to take out the vowels. No, I'm not. Fuck it. I'm not going to take out the vowels for the first one using the witch's wheel. So we're going to look at each of our letters on our word individually, and we're going to start connecting them over here on the wheel. So we're going to start with I, and we're going to move all the way across. Let's see if I can figure out a way that you guys can see this as I'm drawing it. Hold on. Hold on. Hold, please. This is how we're going to do it. Don't you dare be like this. Just stay. Just fucking stay. Okay. There we go. So we're going to take our first phrase and we're going to go over to our witch's wheel for this one. This is like really fucking cockeyed. Really cockeyed. Okay, now we can see everything kind of, but there's like a smoky shadow. I hate that for you guys. Either I go get my ring light or I don't go get, I'm not going and getting it. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do with our first phrase, which is this one here, the I am protected phrase, is we're going to go over to our witch's wheel, which is this right here. Now, this wheel is like one of the more difficult or complicated ways. As far as I'm concerned, this is not the easiest way to do it. But you can certainly utilize this. So in this particular one, we're taking all of our letters. And we're going to connect them on the wheel. Okay, so we're going to start over here, and these are in order, but kind of also not in order. So we're going to start here with our letter I, and we're going to draw a line who Infernals knows very well how to make their own sigils. They're definitely an advanced practitioner and don't need to be in here learning this, but welcome. Okay, so we're going to start with our witch's wheel, which is this wheel. We're going to start with I. So you're going to draw from your I to your A, which is up here. So we're starting here and we're going to go up to this guy here. We're going to go here. And then once we hit this letter, if you've got two that are right beside each other, I like to hit it with a little swoop-de-swoop so that it looks pretty. Okay. And then we're going to draw from our M over here to our P, which goes down this way. And then we're going to jump again with another swoop-de-swoop. And then back up. I need a better pen for this. Hold on. Let me get a different colored pen because this is not clear enough. I'm going to grab a red pen. I didn't realize we was going to be doing arts and crafts tonight, but you know what? I'm here for it. I'm living for it. I love it. So, fuck it. Yeah. Okay. So now we have our red pen, which should be a lot more visible for you guys, because this here is just not clear enough. Is it better if I move it up this way? Probably, hey? Because that way it's not within the chat. Okay. So let's start this again. So we're going from our I, which is down here, to our letter A, which is up here. I like to hit it with a little swoop-de-swoop to the M, and then down to the letter P. And we're going to continue to connect this way through all of our letters. So we're going to go from P-R-O-T and then back over this way to E. Give her a little swoop-de-swoop. Bring her back over there. And then back to E and then to D. And this would be our sigil that we would get for our first phrase, which is this guy right here. So we would end up with a line, a little swoop-de-swoop, this guy that goes down, this here, this across, down here, and then back over this way, and then there. So you end up with this little swoop-de-swoop. Now with this one, if I was not teaching you guys with the witch's wheel, what I would have done is taken out the T, the extra T, and any other duplicate letters. But this is how you would connect everything in order to create your sigil in this particular method. So in our next method, and then you would take this sigil and either write it on a bay leaf or write it on a piece of paper to burn it later. So I'm going to move this up just a little bit because we don't need that part of it anymore. So we're going to try and do it this way. So the next phrase or sigil that I'm going to use for an example is "this home is protected." And when we use this one, we're going to use this chart. It's still kind of fucking wonky. Hold on here. I guess I should probably be doing it this way, though y'all can, yeah, fuck it. Okay, hold on. Hold, please. No, it doesn't work that way. I lied to y'all. You're going to have to look at it sideways. Sorry. Is the sideways, is it distracting for you guys? I'm sorry. So with this method, we are going to, so for this method, we're going to use our second phrase, which is "this home is protected." And what we're going to do is first, we're going to take out any vowels. So all of the I's go. All of the O goes. E's go. Like that. And then the other thing that we're going to do is take any duplicate letters out of this as well. So the T would be a duplicate, and I think that's the only one. Oh no, and the second S is also a duplicate. And so is the H. I lied. There's lots. So we're going to go T, H, S, M, P, R, C, and D. Okay. So we're going to take these numbers that are over here, or these letters that are over here, and this is where we're going to utilize this here chart. Because this chart is going to allow us to assign the numerology properties or the numerological correspondence of these letters to utilize this chart that I have farther down here. This little guy, which is another circular chart, but like not fully the same as the witch's wheel. So we're going to utilize that next, but we're going to go back up to this guy. So we're going to start with our letters. So T is 4, H is 9, S is 3, and I also remove duplicates if I have duplicates in the numbers as well. So like the H over here and this P are both going to be a number 9. So I'm going to take out the second 9. Okay. We're going to move on to, and then we have a 3, which is the same as our S. So we're going to take out that one. And then a 4, which is the same as our T. So again, we're going to take out that number. So we're left with the numbers 4, 9, 3, 5, and 2. Okay, so we're going to take this here number, this 4, 9, 3, 5, 2, this here number, and we're going to bring it down to this chart that we've got right here, this circular chart. And you can I've seen people write these numbers at random. You don't have to. You can write them in order. And this is going to be very, very similar to what we did with our witches chart up here, which is connecting everything together. So we're going to take our 4, we're going to go 4 to 9, and then 9 to 3, 3 to 5 with a little swoop-de-swoop, and then back to 2. So for our protection working, or our home is protected, this is the sigil that we got. So we're going to end up with something that looks like this. And that you will, again, put on a bay leaf or put on a piece of paper, and you will be able to burn that to activate it. And then you can add this into anything using like a moon water. You can carve it into your bay leaves, into your candles. You can wear it on your body. You can do all sorts of different stuff. But you've just created with this guy a home protection sigil that you can add into anything. So that's your second method of sigil making. And keeping this chart around will help you. I like the witch's wheel for making sigils. I like this wheel, but if you're somebody who doesn't want to like print it off and go over it every single time you need to make a sigil, the numerology chart that we have here is going to simplify this method a lot for you. The final method that I want to talk about with sigil making is the third method, okay? And this is the one where we're going to use bring in positivity as our phrase. And again, in this one, I'm going to get rid of my duplicates. So we're getting rid of this one. We're going to get rid of all of the I's. We're going to get rid of our vowels. So those are going to go, those are going to go. And then we are left, and then we're also getting rid of our second T. So we're left with B, R, N, G, P, S, T, V, and Y. Okay, now with this method, you can go ahead and incorporate these just as the letters, or you can utilize the numbers as well. I like to use both. You don't have to. So we're going to line up our numbers again. So 2, we're going to get rid of the R because that's also a 2. We're going to keep our N for the letter 7. We're going to use 8 for G, 9, 3, 4, 7, and then 1. So we have now with this one, we've got the letters B, N, G, P, S, T, V, and Y, and the numbers 2, 7, 8, 9, 3, 4, 7, and 1. We are going to take these numbers and these letters, and we are going to sandwich them together. What? Could you draw it on baking parchment over the charts so you can reuse your chart? Yes, you absolutely can. So what we would do in this situation, so I like to start, this is incorporating the letters and numbers in a more literal way. So if you're an artsy person, you might like this. So we're doing bring in positivity, which is this set of numbers and letters that we've got right here. I want to start this off by incorporating the letter T. So that's going to be my center spot. And as you incorporate letters, I cross them out. So we've got our letter T. I got to move this down just a little bit so y'all can see what I'm doing. That's not clear. No. Yeah. Okay, that'll work. So then we're going to go ahead, and you can use either the numbers or the letters. I'm going to use both, like I said. So I'm going to add the number 7 in here, like that. And we're going to cross out this and the letter N. Okay. We are going to add, I want to do more numbers in this one particularly, but we're going to incorporate both. So I'm going to take the V and we're going to draw that down here like that and cross that out. We're going to grab the letter R, and I'm going to do it kind of in a sharper way, like some of the runes, and we're going to cross that out. Now, you can either start a separate thing if you don't want to continue to build on this particular thing, but I like to keep them kind of all in one go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick like a crosshatch that this G, I'm going to actually pick this one right here. We're going to add a semicircle. We're going to bring it up and we're going to cross it down this way, which is going to be our G. And then we only have a couple letters left, so we can go and add either another guy over here, which would be our Y. That's kind of a way to do it, I guess. And then your final we've got our Y, and then we've got I like to put little swoopty swoops and swirlies all over the fucking place. So we're going to drop a swirly in here, and I add extra swirlies for our letter S. And then we're going to finally add just another little bubble over here for our letter B. And this would be your sigil that you would use for bringing in positivity. Again, we're going to draw it on paper or a bay leaf. And we are going to burn it to activate it. And burn that hoe. Now, with this particular style of sigil making, you also can go ahead and add little extra things. So I like to add like little dots and shit and little arrows and certain things like that to add more detail. It is very visually appealing. This kind of sigil working, you can make some really gorgeous, like visually appealing sigils, whereas stuff like these or with the witches round, you're going to find them to be a little bit more simplistic and more along the lines of just like line work and stuff like that. These particular sigils, I like making them this way because they're a little bit more complicated. They're a little bit more custom, but they're also very cool to look at. So these are 3 different methods of sigils, and the reason we're talking so heavily about sigils is because this is broke bitch witchcraft, and that's one of the easiest ways to do it. Let me just switch my camera around so we are facing my face again. Okay. Absolutely you can. And I like So I use sigils all the time. And all 3 of these are very easy ways. Yeah, you can draw the same phrase in multiple ways. So like this, our second sigil that we did where it's this home is protected, that was this sigil that we did over here. And I've got sigils in my personal sigil collection that I've drawn that are made out of the same phrase, but look entirely different than that because they were drawn and done with a different method. You do not need to put these on a bay leaf. Everybody is going to tell you, everybody and their fucking dog is going to tell you you need to put them on a bay leaf to activate them. You do not. Once you've got your sigils lined out, and I'm focused very heavily on sigils because they are literally one of the easiest, cheapest, most customizable ways to do witchcraft that I have found. Once you've got your sigils, or you've got a few that, would you ever tattoo a sigil? Yes, I would very much. I would absolutely tattoo sigils on me. I have tattooed sigils on purpose. If you're going to tattoo a sigil, what I recommend that you do is customize your sigil. So again, use one of our 3 methods that we just had here and make your sigil. Then you're going to want to go ahead and do the same thing that you would have done to activate that sigil to put it in a spell. So light it on fire. We're going to put it either on a piece of paper or bay leaf and then write it and burn it before you can go ahead and tattoo it on you. And then periodically what you're going to want to do with a tattooed sigil is you're going to want to do the same thing where you like amplify it. So either put it on a bay leaf, put it on a piece of paper, or something of that nature, and either set it in a bowl to activate it with herbs that match your intention or light it on fire to recharge said sigil. But yes, you can definitely get tattooed sigils and they work fantastically. Absolutely. And yes, if you are somebody who struggles with sigil making, maybe you don't understand it, or you need a custom sigil that's a very complicated sigil made, I do offer sigil making services where I make and activate the sigils for you guys and then send them over and just be like, here you go. You've got your sigil. It's activated. There's nothing you need to do. You can just use it now. I do offer that service as well. So what are some of the other ways aside from sigil making that we can use to protect our spaces? Yeah, like charging up your sigils, especially if you're using them, you're wearing them as tattoos, is super important. Like you got to stay on top of keeping them charged and activated. Otherwise, you're just walking around with a pretty picture on you. Do we have any questions about sigil making? And then I will move on to some more stuff about broke bitch witchcraft. Hey, Shapak. The witch's wheel, I believe, is based on Mayan alphabets and the way that it was laid out. So there's a whole different set of like characters that go with the Mayan alphabet, but they were laid out originally in a wheel type form like this, very similar to this, where you had the 3 layers starting from your outwardmost and then moving inwards. They were a different kind of character. They're written completely different, but I believe that that's where the origins of it. It did have another name. Yes. I don't know off the top of my head what the other name of it was, but I can certainly do some looking into it and I will make a video on it. It's similar as well to the way that the numerological wheel, the way that that's laid out as well, is accordance to, it's similar to how a clock was laid out. And they did that with numbers as well. There are several different examples of either alphabetical or numerological. I got to stop saying that word because I cannot. Numerological wheels that were utilized for various different things. It was utilized to tell time, to tell dates, to spell things out, to communicate, and even utilize some of these wheels in order to dictate how they planted plants and things like that in accordance to where they fell within the sun and where they would get the best view. But I believe it comes from Mayan times, like origin wise. Again, it's the wheels have been used so frequently throughout so many different belief systems and values. Just to go over, I might actually do a whole class on that. Yeah, it's a hard word. It's got lots of letters and stuff. So if we have no more questions about sigil making, we will move on to our next form of very cheap witchcraft. It's the same as pretty much anything else in witchcraft, where there's like one group of people that does it one way and then another group of people who does almost the exact same thing but in a different way. It's very similar to that. All right. Let me know. Let's give a roll call if you guys are ready to move on from sigils and start talking in on some other stuff. It is the magic of the folk. Yes. So the next thing I want to talk about with broke bitch witchcraft, what is a really easy way to do spell work if you don't have a lot of ingredients or you don't have a lot of money? Now, often we go to candle magic. That's a really frequent thing that you see people do. It's like the most familiar for like 99% of witches. We all love our candles. But there are many other mediums that you can use to do spell work within your home, and that don't cost money. So one of the things particularly pertaining to like releasing and backyard scavenging is absolutely top on the list. So what I wanted to do was talk about limited ingredients or no ingredients, which is what we did with sigils, and then more limited, and then go up a little bit more from there. Some of the things that you can utilize around your home and around your space that are really easy are the elements. Now, me personally, I like a hearty fire. That is just me. It's almost a fault of mine. I like to set things on fire. But if you're somebody who really say you need something like some positivity. I found a chicken bone in the apartment garden once. Oh my God. So let's say, for example, that you are somebody who, I'm going to move away from positivity. Say you're somebody who's struggling with mental health and you need some workings or you need a little bit of help in order to sort out your mental health. What we're going to do is we're going to get a piece of paper, again, because we're doing broke bitch witchcraft. So we're going to get a piece of paper and a pen. And you are going to take your piece of paper and you're going to write down everything that you want to release. Whether it's self-doubt, whether it's negative ways of thinking, whether it's negative entities around you, whether it's people that you need away from you. Okay, we're going to get our piece of paper and we are going to write all that shit down. And then you're either going to take that piece of paper outside in the wind and let it blow away, or you're going to utilize water and we're going to flush it down the toilet in order to remove these things. That's how we're going to symbolize removal of things. When we're talking about sourcing our ingredients from around our homes, remember something. We do not need the fanciest, biggest herbs on the planet. You don't. I don't care what any witch tells you. I don't care if they tell you that you have to have the fanciest of all the stuff. You don't need that. If you are really hell-bent on needing some herbs for your working, the very first place that I recommend that you go before you go outside is in your spice cabinet. And don't overlook the mixed spices neither, because sometimes you'll get into them and like look at the label and realize that there's some really good stuff in there. So like my number one recommendation is to go to your spice cabinet and look at what you got in there. If you need to do a banishing and you've got black pepper, you're good. If you need protection and you've got salt, you're good. You need, this is another thing. A substitution for salt. If you're somebody who needs salt for the purification properties of it, and you're either making a money bowl or a salt dish to put around your house to neutralize negativity, and you don't have salt, you can use white rice to substitute that. In some situations, not all the situations, but in some of them, if you're using it like to replace a salt base, you can use rice as a substitution. It's really important to remember that a lot of the stuff, like witches always used what was available to them, right? Like witches were masters at like digging up stuff out of nowheres to use. If you don't have a fancy crystal, go get a rock from outside. You need some grounding, go get some fucking grass. Not only that, but your regular ass grass from your backyard is great for protection. We talk about learning your plants and your herbs a lot when we're talking about budget witchery, but for a lot of people, that's not even feasible. Some people may have learning disabilities. They're neurodivergent in ways that prevents them from being able to take in and absorb a lot of information in one go. So when you have that kind of situation, teaching people to like telling people you got to go outside and learn to identify everything that grows around you is not feasible. It is not. If you're going to go out of your way to learn the plants and herbs around you, and you should learn the plants and herbs around you, but instead of focusing on learning everything, try to familiarize yourself with one plant that does each thing. So find a plant that you know really well that does protection. Find a plant that you know and that you know is around for you, that you can become very familiar with, that does healing stuff. Even go so far, this is broke bitch witchcraft, but if you have flowers and stuff around you, trees, things, it is a really good idea to learn how to identify those things, because that is fast, cheap, free ingredients. But you don't even have to go that far. You can do witchcraft with very minimal ingredients. Like we said, like sigil working is something that you don't need any ingredients for. But learning to identify very simple stuff like dandelions, grass, different kinds of leaves, things like that, those are going to be really, really crucial to you. If you need to ground yourself, or you need to like, say there's like an old habit or something like that that you want to bury and get rid of, go outside, get some regular ass dirt, write that shit down on a piece of paper and bury that hoe. Do not underestimate the effectiveness of just using whatever you have available to you. Utilize color magic if you're somebody who doesn't have a lot of money, but you need to infuse certain properties into something. Utilize color magic. Use purple and blue for healing. Use red for passion, pink for love, green for money, gold for money. Green is really good for healing. Black is for protection. White is multi-purpose. Yellow brings in happiness. Orange can be used for good health. Utilize color properties in your magic as well, if you can. And that can be, again, as easy as writing things down in a specific color. I used red tonight because it stands out against the paper. But if I was doing something that was involving a lot of heavy healing, yeah, clover. Clover has so many different purposes. We're going to talk about clover. But yeah, utilize color magic, and you can do that even with felt markers that you color and draw things on with. That's another really easy way to go ahead and add different properties into your magic. One of the things, because you brought up clover, one of the things that clover does that a lot of people don't, they underestimate, like clover is great for luck and money, but clover is also really good for health, protection, and it can also be used in banishing unwanted entities and unwanted energies from your space. Red clover specifically can be used to guard against spirits. So though it's important to learn like the multifaceted aspects of each of the plants that you work with as well, because all of the plants have more than one use. And knowing what other things that plant will do will also help you open up to like having more ingredients at your dispense. Another one that grows a lot that people are able to find is nettles. Stinging nettles are great in a hex because they add burn, but they're great as protection and banishing too. So learning like the dualities of your plants is going to help you. There are free plant identification apps that you can get and put on your phone if you're really determined to go out and forage for your ingredients or forage for the stuff that you need for a spell. But I find that some of them are unreliable, and a lot of times if you're somebody who's not great at differentiating one plant from another, they can lead to more confusion than anything else. So if you're somebody who's wanting to learn how to forage, it's better that you take the time to get a book and actually like really study that kind of thing. You can do it by identifying plants just kind of as you go. But again, identification, picture this is a lifesaver. Picture this is really good. I've utilized picture this a few times when I was out and about foraging. The Reader's Digest. So the Reader's Digest, North American Plants and Wildlife, is an awesome book. I have that book. I've got the hard copy version of that book. And not only is it really good because it gives you a good amount of information about plants and trees and things like that grow, but it's also really good because it gives you information about different bugs and different creatures and different critters and stuff like that. And all of the animals, with the exception of animals that are part of closed practices, y'all know what I'm fucking talking about. All of those, any animal, you can use their hair, their teeth, their whiskers, things like that. So knowing the correspondences and the meanings of animals can help you really well, or can help you a lot as well, rather. Let's talk about... I'm trying to think. Like, listen, kitchen witchery is a good way to incorporate... if you're on a budget and you're somebody who cooks, utilize the ingredients that are in your food. And we talked about kitchen witchery on my last Sunday school a little bit. Now, the tricky thing about kitchen witchery, if you're going to do it this way, so say, and again, it doesn't have to be fancy stuff. You don't have to go out of your way. But if you're making something like a soup or a stew, and you're going to put potatoes in it, great. Potatoes are great for growth and prosperity. Beef is good for bringing in prosperity. Carrots are good for health. Learning the correspondences of your foods can help you substantially with that, because then you can throw together a spell like in 2 seconds. You're like, oh, I'm having beef stew, but it's got all of these and then these spices. There you go. That's a spell. You can make that out of something very big, like making an elaborate stew or goulash or something like that, or something as simple as baking a bread and kneading it in a specific way. And this doesn't have to be fancy bread. You can make some like shitty little buns, okay? But kneading your intention into it, and or optionally carving sigils and runes into whatever you cook, can add properties and serve as a spell as well. Do we have any questions about what we just went over? You literally, like, yeah, make sticky buns and infuse properties. I always try to talk about, yeah, picture this also has, yeah, and intentions in your food. So one of the ways that I very easily put intentions into food is to either stir it clockwise to bring things in, or counterclockwise to banish them out. You can put like pentagrams or pentacles and sigils into your food, like just with whatever utensil you're using to cook it or eat it. I prefer, if you're going to do something like that where you're putting intention into your food with sigils or directions, to do it while you're cooking the food as opposed to after. See, I love that. A pentacle and a coffee every morning is a great way to add some protection to your day. That's awesome. Like, one of the things that I did for like easy witchcraft was I utilized the properties of my coffee. So coffee is grounding. And then I put Nutella. Hazelnut is, I don't even remember right now what hazelnut is, but I did a whole thing talking about the different properties of food. That's going to be a whole other class. But cooking intention into your food is a really good way to also do witchcraft on a budget. Because it's not even that you have to like particularly add or go and purchase certain ingredients. You can work with the ingredients that are already in your food. Can people around you affect your intentions? Yes. I would say yes. People around you and the energy that they put off can affect how easily your intentions are infused into something. So if you're asking specifically with like cooking your spell work, I would say that that's so cool. I want to try that. I'm going to write that down. Blessing buns. That sounds like something that's sure to get me ousted from Christmas dinner, which is great. So if you're talking about when you're cooking your food, to prevent that, I recommend that you don't allow the other person to like stir the food and things like that. If you're doing spell work and you're doing candles or things like that, if that person is in a particularly funky mood and you're not very good at like protecting your space or protecting yourself, that can certainly fuck with the vibe very much. What, that the blessing buns were going to get me kicked out of Christmas dinner? I mean, I can't even bring cakes to my mom's house anymore because she thinks I put witchcraft on them. So cooking blessing buns should go over just fucking swimmingly. Absolutely swimmingly. I love it. I'm going to utilize this. Absolutely. But yeah, I would say that people around you, if they've got stanky vibes, they can certainly throw off the intentions of things, whether it be through affecting your mood or just because they're putting off stanky vibes. Either way, they can affect things. Yeah. Sir, are you starving? Are there simmer pots you can drink? Yeah. So I don't know that I recommend that you drink a simmer pot, but you can certainly utilize certain ingredients in a simmer pot that would be consumable. So one of the most commonly seen simmer pots that we see, people will put something like citrus for cleansing, cloves for protection, cinnamon for protection, apples for abundance, things of that nature. When you boil it all together, be conscientious of whatever ingredients you put in there. But as long as everything is food safe and edible, yeah, you can drink your simmer pots. I don't recommend it because simmer pots are meant to kind of sit, and not only do they give off energy, but sometimes they can also ignore our neglected dog, right? They can also absorb certain energies. So I don't know if you'd want to drink that, but you could make it like utilize teas. That's another really overlooked thing in witchcraft, is if you're somebody who's a tea drinker and you drink a lot of tea at home, you can utilize the properties in your teas in order to add witchcraft properties to your everyday life. So drink your chamomile tea when you need some calming and soothing energy. Drink your peppermint tea for a little bit of money and a health boost, things like that. Utilizing teas and again, we're talking a lot about food witchery tonight because it's like one of the most you could make like a fruit punch and like drink that up. We're talking about food witchery a lot because that's something that a lot of people have access to very easily. Where was I going with that? My brain just stopped working for a second. Hold on. How often are Fun tip, make sure you're heavily protected before you put moon water into tea. Yes, that can lead to some mostly like very heightened intuition, but it can also create like a lubricant for spirits to get to you. How often are magical correspondences different? I'm going to need you to clarify what you mean with that. I'm not sure what you mean by how often. Are you talking about like magical correspondences in the same herb, plant, or food? Or are you talking about I need more information than that for that question? Why was I so focused? Oh, fruits. I was going to talk about fruits and vegetables. Y'all, learn the properties. If you find herbs are too much for you, or it's like overwhelming to learn all of your herbs and their correspondences, start with fruits and vegetables, because that's another really good way to utilize magical properties in your everyday life that is super accessible, and often you already have them. Like from the mundane purposes. Are you talking about the medicinal purposes or just like the normal purposes? because medicinal and magical properties, okay, we're talking about medicinal versus magical properties. All right. Okay, I can get on this. Yeah, okay. So often you will find some crossover between medicinal and magical properties. And don't just focus on one or the other. That's another really crucial thing. You should keep in mind the medicinal properties of the herbs that you're using in your magic as well, because you can utilize an herb, a fruit, a vegetable, anything like that for its medicinal properties within your craft. I do this frequently. So, for example, if I was going to banish a spirit from somebody's home, I would probably use like red clover in there, because that's again underestimated, but a very effective spiritual protectant. But if I wanted to like break a fever and I had somebody who's having kidney problems, I would still use red clover because it does both of those things medicinally as well. So utilizing the properties either way is going to be really good. Oh, it's a Bobby. I love that. I love that for me. But you will find that there is some crossover between medicinal and magical properties. Not in every plant, but there is crossover, and you should be aware of both. And part of being aware of medicinal properties also tacks down to safe handling. Okay, because when you learn your medicinal properties of things, this is when you're going to learn what it interacts with, if there are certain things that it can't be combined with, if there are certain ways that you need to prepare it safely. Now, most basic stuff that you're going to find, like herbs and like your herbal stuff, so like ginger, rosemary, lavender, shit like that, you're not going to need too much of the safety advice on it. But when you get into more advanced herbs, you definitely need to know that kind of thing. And we are talking about broke bitch witchcraft. We've gotten a little bit sidetracked into herbs and things like that and foods. But that is still, I say, between sigils and like food magic, some of the most easiest ways to go about doing magic on a budget. Another thing that you can do if you're somebody who is learning magic on a budget is learning your moon phases and learning to work with them, because moon water can be an extremely powerful agent. So when you want to start something new, you would do it on the dark moon or the new moon. And this can apply to anything that you do. This can be a moon water. Yeah, you do not want to chuck a bundle of the wrong stuff in a fire and cause someone. Yeah, exactly. And also learning pet safety is super important when you're dealing with herbs as well. Don't be out there like burning shit in your house if you don't know if it's safe for your critters. So one thing that we use all the time in witchcraft that's really bad for your pets is lavender. Lavender is terrible for dogs and cats. So if you have a fluffy critter and you can't put them outside of the house, then you need to make sure that if you're burning and or cooking anything with those properties, that you have to be safe with your pets. Birds and rodents are particularly easily exposed and harmed by those kinds of things. It's lavender is like a big... My ex threw a bunch of lavender in a bonfire. That's the kind of petty shit that I would do. Yeah, you got to open the windows and vent this shit out. Do not leave stagnant smoke in your home. That should be goes without saying kind of thing. But do not leave stagnant shit in your home. Stagnant smoke not only holds on to negative energies or whatever you've tried to get rid of or bring in with your spell, but it can also be really bad for your lungs and your breathing and things like that. So always make sure that you are researching what is pet safe, what is child safe, and just general safety handling things. You should know the safety aspect of working with herbs before you ever physically start working with them. And I'm a terrible example of that, okay? Because you guys know me. I like to do things the most chaotic way possible. So I'm frequently sticking my hands in jars of nettles and things that I shouldn't touch. Don't be Bam Bam. That's why I teach you guys lessons like this, so that you guys learn the safety stuff that I don't show you when I show spell work on here. Most incense are not good for your pets. Let's talk about an alternative to burning candles and burning incense. Because a lot of us who have pets or kids or things like that, it is just not, yeah, right? Well, you're also an alien, so there's that. Let's talk about an alternative to burning candles when we have pets and children and stuff like that. Something that I'm going to start doing more of, that I was talking about earlier today, is wax warmers. Wax warmer magic. Yeah, let's talk about that, because this could be a really good way. Yeah, water is always a good agent for anything. Water is like utilizing different. I got sidetracked here because we started talking about the moon phases and utilizing moon water. Okay, come on, Bam, you can do this. It's going so good. It's going so good. Okay, so if you guys are wanting to start, let's go back to moon water a little bit. I mean, I don't, but I'm pretty sure they're already watching you. No, it's okay. It's totally okay. Okay, we're going to talk about moon water and sun water, and then we're going to talk about wax melt magic. Let's do this. Let's stay focused. So utilizing moon water is a really easy way, again, to add magical properties into anything that you're doing without it costing you a lot of money. Go in the house, fill a jar of water or a container. Plastic is going to be your best friend if you live somewhere where it freezes, because glass turns explodey when it freezes. Don't be Bam Bam. I've cut my hand open on that shit too many times. But we're going to want to learn not only the properties of the moon, but also the sun, which is another thing that is like overlooked so much in witchcraft, but you can use solar water for stuff as well. Now, with moon water, we're going to want to focus on the moon phases. So your new moon is for new beginnings and starting up projects. Your waning moon is for building and growing. Your full moons are always going to be your high power kind of situation, where it's either manifesting. Full moons are great for any kind of power working. Sun water is great for healing. Yeah, sun water. Yeah. Y'all didn't know that you can make water. You guys think that the moon is the only planet that has fucking magical properties? No, you can make sun water too. So we get to we go from the dark moon. Now we're up at the full moon, which is always great for amplification. Really any working you can utilize full moon energy for. Now, if you're doing, certain types of healing, it can add chaos to it. If you're doing certain types of purging of things, it can add a little bit of chaotic energy to it, but it's not anything. I'm not telling you not to utilize the full moon for those things. Just be aware of the energy that comes with it. And then as we're slowly closing down, we can go into our phases of brain fart, full moon, dark moon, this has been going so good so far. When we go into the most important ones are kind of the new moon and the full moon. But when we get into, the waxing moon. So the waxing moon, I got to pull this up. My brain is not working, you guys. My brain just stopped working entirely. Eclipse moons are, depending on the specific type of moon that's going on within the eclipse, will depend on what kind of energy comes out of that. Okay. You're going to still want to be aware. Void of course, do you utilize that? So void of course, I have not worked with the void of course particularly. I work with the full and the new moon, but why is my shit not opening? I'm getting frustrated. Open. Oh my God. Okay. So the waxing, the full moon, the waning, and the new moon. So the waxing moon, let's go over this with my notes because that'll make it a little bit better than me trying to. So the waxing moon is for attracting in or increasing anything, and it can be for love or prosperity. The full moon is for urgent needs, power, changing luck, fertility, or justice. The waning moon is for banishing what no longer serves you, from pain to negative people or situations. And the new moon or the dark moon is for binding others from harm, binding secrets, binding gossip, and removing bad habits. So those are like the main moon phases and what we're going to use them for. When you're working with the moon, keep in mind that there are other planets that are operating in conjunction with other moon magic by... Okay, yeah, it's a little bit Wicca-y. Listen, a lot of them are. Keep in mind when you're working with the moon, what other planets and stars are going on around there, because that can very, very heavily impact the sort of behavior that you're going to see out of your moon water. Eclipse water is going to vary depending on what kind of eclipse is going on, and again, what other planets are interacting with that eclipse. Some eclipse moon water is really good for like transformation stuff. Some of it can be great for healing stuff, and some of it is just so chaotic that it's like, unless you're looking to cause problems and fuck some shit up, I just don't recommend it. And that's going to depend on, again, what's going on around. Blood moons. Blood moons are really good for releasing and new starts. You working with the blood moon energy is a very, very powerful energy. That is like full moon vibes, but amplified times 10. And I like working with any blood moon that comes up. They are really good. The void is like, I'm gonna have to, I've never worked with the void, but I like that. I like that a lot. I'm gonna like make a little note of that. They're not every year, but we've had quite a few consistently in the past little while. And like, I'm somebody, I work with the moon, but I don't work with the moons as heavily as what I should or what other people do. So like I said, I mostly work with the off topic, but what does spit do in a spell? I will cover that in a minute. I work mostly with the dark moon and then the full moon, but I work very heavily with the dark moon and the new moon because I work with Hecate. So that's kind of the time of the year that's like very, very, or the time of the month that's like very exclusive to her. So I work with Hecate during those times. And I do a lot of shadow working, releasing, and like transformative types of working. To what extent do the superstitions going around social media about astronomical effects impact magical working surrounding those events? So there's very real implications to different planets and different energies being circulating around the moon when you're doing witchcraft. Like the pull of the group. So whether it's just so if you're working with a certain, or there's certain energy revolving around the moon, at a certain time, whether it be other planets or anything like that. Keep in mind that each planet brings its own set of energy. Now, when we see people talking about the effects of planets on the moon and things like that, what we'll see is like social media just blows that shit up and makes it a way bigger deal than what it needs to be. Are you going to have different energy depending on where placements and planetary stuff is? Yes. Does the attitude of like witch talk and spiritual social media as a whole actually affect the outcome of that if they believe that it's going to go one way or another? No. Like, if witch talk is getting bent out of shape about an eclipse, or social media people are getting bent out of shape over an eclipse or an energy, if that particular astrological event doesn't correlate with the energy that people are saying it does, them believing that it's going to create a certain energy doesn't mean that it will. It might for them because they've like believed it, but it doesn't mean that it'll impact your working. What is this? Another helpful looked in the expired of all stores. Yeah. That's another good suggestion. Look in discount or the dollar store for spices and things like that, because they carry a lot of it. What does spit do in a spell? Spit, it is utilized as a tag lock in a spell. Spit contains your DNA, so you can utilize spit in a way where you replace like a written tag lock. You can use that person's saliva for it. Spitting in a jar or like spitting in a spell, I've spat on spell work, and it's not with the intention of adding my DNA to it, but rather to add like the properties of me thinking that that person is like trash enough that I would actually spit on them, which doesn't happen very often, but you can utilize it to like show your disgust or your disdain for another human. But just be aware that when you're spitting in anything, you're putting your own DNA into it. So you're tag locking yourself. If you don't have protections up around you, I don't recommend that you spit in any working that you do. Let's talk about sun water and what we can utilize sun water for. So sun water is a little bit less complex than moon water, where we don't have so many different phases and stuff, but there still is certain phases that correlate with sun water. So if you are wanting to start a new project or you're wanting growth, what you're going to do is get your sun water and create a sun water that starts at the rising of the sun, and keep it out in the sun until your sun is at its highest peak. If you're wanting to shed light on something or create a lot of healing or create a very strong atmosphere of happiness, positivity, and health and stuff like that, you're going to want to use sun water that is made at when the sun is at its highest peak. And you're going to keep it out there again until the sun starts to set. Similar to the way we would see it with moon water, like when the sun is setting, sun water that is setting is really good for for banishing, releasing workings, but also you can use sun water that is made at sunset and baneful workings as a way to cast away the positivity in somebody's light and add darkness properties to it. I spit in a note that I burnt letting out my feelings on a cord cutting. I mean, if your gut tells you to do it, then do it. Just be aware that you are putting your DNA into whatever you've spat in. And that's something that we need to be aware of. So sun water is generally broken up into 3 different things. We have our sunrise, highest point, and then sunsetting water. Do we have any questions about waters and things of that nature right now? And I'm going to go give Henry a scoop of food because he's laying pathetically by his dish. Clearly starving, clearly neglected, super, super hard done by. Yes, you can absolutely still use sun water if it freezes. You can definitely still use sun water when it freezes. Yes, if you get COVID, save your spit. Save any spit that has disease and germs in it because you can use it in baneful magic. If you are a new practitioner, I don't recommend that you do baneful magic. But if you are somebody who practices that, save your sickly spit. That is great for that kind of thing. So if we're good for questions on waters right now, do we want to talk? I want to talk a little bit about dollar store witchcraft because that is, again, cost effective as fuck. So do we want to talk about dollar store witchery now? Yes, yes. Also, if you have COVID spit and things like that, make sure that you store it in a very safe container so that you don't contaminate your space and give yourself COVID. Because that's very possible. You can absolutely do that. Caitlin's just like, COVID spit. So let's talk about dollar store magic and what kind of crap we can find at the dollar store to do magic with that's good. First thing that I love to get at the dollar store is candles. Go to your local dollar store and get your motherfucking tea lights. Okay, you can get candles, matches, and lighters and shit at your dollar store for like $1. And if you're somebody who does a lot of candle magic, yeah. Yeah, that's what I did. I had like a pill pill bottle of of COVID spit that I saved from when I had the Omicron last winter. I just ran out of that COVID spit. It's kind of a shame. I was really hoping it was going to last longer, but lo and behold, the medication that I was on for the other thing I was sick with dried up my mouth and I didn't have a lot of extra spit laying around. Jars and containers are another really good thing that we can get at the dollar store for witchcraft. You can get mason jars, you can get metal tubs, you can use not only jars and containers to make jar spells, but also jars and containers for storage and organization. Don't ever underestimate getting like the little tubs and little jars. Are you okay, sir? Are you all right? You literally ate that so fast that you slipped on your way back down. Like, explain yourself. Because you're fat. You're not even like, clearly you're not starving. So, anyways. So, getting storage jars and or jars for your jar spells is another really great thing that you can get at the dollar store. Also, broke bitch life hack. If you need colored candles or you're wanting to work with color magic in any way, shape, or form, go to the dollar store, get one of the big white pillar candles, and then go get some freaking birthday candles and drip those onto your white candle to get the effect of the color magic. And or if you just have white candles at home and you want to add color properties, birthday candles are a really good way to do that. Don't underestimate the spice and or tea section of your local dollar store. That is another really good place to go look for things like salt, basic herbs, chili peppers, rosemary, thyme, oregano, things of that nature. That's a really good place to get some of that stuff. And you can get like large containers or bags of salt for like $2-3, dirt cheap. It'll last you forever. Another thing that I wanted to mention, and this kind of goes back to food witchery, but I wanted to talk about it in food witchery and then totally forgot about it. Another thing that you guys should be holding on to around the house that will make things really accessible for you and not only give you a great protective ingredient, but also a vessel to do witchcraft in is eggshells. Save your eggshells. Rinse them out and save them. They are amazing for protection. And if you have eggshells from eggs that are fairly whole, you can actually stuff them full of your ingredients and seal them up and use them as a spell jar. Let's talk about budget-friendly alternatives to spell jars too. Once we get through the dollar store. So we talked about jars and storage containers, herbs and candles, matches and lighters. Other things that you can get at the dollar store that are fantastic is rocks, stones, rope, threads, different colored threads, like embroidery thread. I use a lot in witchcraft because it's cotton. But again, you can utilize the color magic with it because you can get so many different varieties. Your paper and pens to make notes, as well as getting colors that you can use to, hey Neo, to add either to decorate like your book of shadows or to color code certain things. The dollar store is really one of the best place to go for like dirt cheap baseline supplies. If you're doing baneful workings and you need sharp things, go get nails and screws and safety pins at the dollar store for $1. Okay. We love the dollar store around here. I do a lot of shopping at the dollar store. Another thing that I recommend that you guys get at the dollar store, if you're setting up a space and you're getting into deity worship, go to the dollar store to get them stuff for their altar. I promise you that they're not going to be mad that you bought them a $1 glass cup over a $12 glass cup. So if you're putting up devotional spaces, whether it's for like a deity or your ancestors, or you're trying to build a setup for a certain thing, going to the dollar store to get your cups, plates, storage containers, things like that is a really good way to cut costs. And some dollar stores have a hella good candle section. Okay, the Dollar Tree, my dude, the Dollar Tree, I could go in there like a millionaire and come out broke because they have the 7-day candles and they're all different colors. My local dollar store, you can just get your basic, 7-day Jesus candle, but peel the labels off and fucking repurpose that shit. Dollar store is for sure one of my favorite effigies. That's another thing. If you guys are wanting to build like a house guardian or an effigy to a deity or an altar or an ancestor, go look for little effigy statues at the dollar store. You're not going to get something like the bronze cast of Lucifer that I've got back there, but you certainly will find something that you can utilize. Witchcraft doesn't have to be expensive. Between dollar stores, harvesting your own shit, and the things that you can find in your house, you are more than capable of doing pretty much any kind of witchcraft that you're going to need. What? If I used an eggshell and Goodwill, yeah, Goodwill for sure. If I used an eggshell and used wax to seal it, would that work? Yes, it would. You can absolutely utilize that. I recommend that kind of working for protection workings, but you can utilize that as well. Let's talk about alternative. Yeah, jar hunting at Goodwill is a great time. I want to talk really quick about alternatives to spell jars. Because if you're like me and you do a lot of casting, then you may find that you run out of jars very quickly. So let's talk about some cost-effective and also like some some earth-friendly alternatives to spell jars. Because even when we're building a spell jar, and this can be applicable if you just don't have a jar, it can also be applicable if you're building something specifically that you're going to bury, because don't put shit in the ground that doesn't go there. Some of the things that I recommend as alternatives, we talked about eggshells. Another really good one that gets overlooked so much, and it's sad it gets overlooked this much, toilet paper rolls. They are cardboard. They are biodegradable. You can take a pen and draw on those hoes, and then you just fold the ends in and seal them up. That is a really good alternative to a spell jar. And I guarantee you that you have toilet paper rolls lying around your home. You don't have to go anywhere and get it. They're also great if you want to create almost like a bundle type effect where you're not burying it, but rather you want to burn it. That is another really good medium to use to create that spell because it's already flammable. Yeah, and if you're going to bury it, don't put salt because that's bad for the earth. But toilet paper rolls, eggshells are both really good alternatives. Other alternatives that you can use that I don't as highly recommend, but you could is like pop cans. If you seal them up, that can be a vessel, but that's not something that's earth friendly. And it's not something that can be burnt without creating a whole bunch of fumes and a big fuck off mess. Another thing that you can do is if you're trying to make like a satchel or something of that nature, instead of utilizing, if you don't have a jar or like one of those little mesh baggies, paper, fold that shit and utilize folding magic while you're at it. Take your paper and so if you're trying to bring something into you, you want to fold it in this way. So you're going to fold it this way and fold it in. If you're making a little paper packet for a spell and you're wanting to push it away, then you're going to fold it away from you and fold it away from you that way. And you can either seal that up with paper or with wax or with thread or whatever you've got on hand, and then store that little container or that little package that you created, store that away. You can use that. Again, that's really good if you're going to burn something, but you can also utilize it for like spell work that you're going to, you can use staples if you want to use staples. Absolutely. That's really good for spell work. Like if you wanted to create a little package that's a protection, you could very easily just fold it in some paper and seal it really good and tuck it in your wallet, tuck it under your pillow, tuck it wherever you need to take it. That's another really easy way. Are you somebody who likes to make spell bags, charm bags, or things of that nature, but you don't have any bags available? Do you have any lone socks? I know it's going to sound really stupid, but do you have any socks that don't have a friend? Use that sock. Make sure it's clean, or don't. I mean, if you're going to use it for baneful stuff, I mean, leave your nasty toe stench on it. But if you're going to use something like that, or like maybe you had kids and your kids are grown up and you've got those little tiny baby socks, fucking use that shit and make it into a little bag, a little mojo bag. Yeah, like you use the shit that you have around your house. You don't always have to go out of the way. Yeah, dollar store also has the little tiny baby socks. Utilize that kind of stuff to make spell packets and things like that. Hi, sir. Good evening. Thank you for joining the Tarot Live. This isn't a Tarot Live. This is a teaching live. How are you? Hi, Hen. You want to see your fans? Henry. I want to see the fans. You're being a distraction. Hello, Boggo. Hello, big doggo. He's a big baby. He's a big baby. You're distracting me. We're trying to teach things. We're trying to learn stuff. Where's a baby? Where's a baby? We're trying to I'm trying to educate people, man. Are you good? Are you Gucci? What? Ugh. I know, he's a cute distraction. He's certainly a cute distraction. So, toilet paper rolls. Other things you can save is you can save like containers that you use for sauces and shit like that. Utilize that kind of stuff. Are you trying to go outside? Bro, it is like freaking cold outside. Can you hold off for like another 20 minutes until I'm done? No? Can you just wait with your pantaloons? Cool. Thanks. Yeah, like save your sauce jars. If you buy the little containers, the little shaky things. Yeah, exactly. Like I don't throw away any sauce jars or anything like that. We hoard everything. I'm trying to think of more vessels that you guys can use. Cardboard boxes are another thing. If you have small cardboard boxes, those can be used as spell containers or things of that nature. For protective stuff, one of the easiest things is if you have a particular piece of jewelry or a ring or an accessory that you wear a lot, you can charge that particular item with properties. Envelopes, yeah, envelopes, prescription containers, absolutely. Jam jars, absolutely, those will work too. Your PB and J jars are always really good. If you're buying spices at the store and you're not buying them in a bag, in like the zippy bag, then save the little shaky jars that they come in and use those. Another thing that is kind of underestimated but also works really good is if you're a Keurig drinker and you have the little leftover Keurig pods, peel off the top of them and empty them out, and you can use that little container as a vessel for, or a replacement for spell jars and things of that nature. Empty water bottles work too, but not if you're gonna, like if you're burying, I don't recommend that you use a water bottle because it's not earth friendly. I'm trying to think of some other off kilter things that we can utilize. I kind of want, like, the basis of this whole night is to kind of give you guys a pretty good idea of, like, you can do witchcraft with anything. Go get you a shitty old Pringles can and use a Pringles can to make a spell. Utilize the ingredients of stuff that you already have around you. And that's why I focus very heavily on, like, things that are already within your home as well as sigil workings. Be creative, though. Like, you can use imagery from different things. You can use imagery, anything that really associates with your intention. So if you're doing a healing spell and for you, you think that seashells represent healing and cleansing, then go ahead and use some seashells. There is one other thing that I want to talk about tonight for budget witchery, because we're getting close to the end here. So there is one other thing that I want to talk about, and that is divination on a budget, because that's a big one. How do I do divination on a budget? How do I do divination if I don't have a tarot deck, or if I don't have a pendulum, or if I don't have that kind of stuff? How do I do divination? Let's talk about that for a minute, because this can be really helpful for a lot of people. One thing that I recommend that people do, and it's super easy, it's super cheap, and it's super effective, is create a lot casting set. And that can be done, again, with shit from around your house. You can use little rocks that you have, any charms that you have, coins or pennies, even pieces from like a game board or dice, and put all of that together. And the beautiful thing about lot casting is that when you're casting lots, they don't come with a particular set of meanings. So you can select charms and tidbits and doodads and junk around your house and look at it and be like, this gives me this vibe. So you assign that property to that thing. And you can have a lot set that's very, very minimal. You can have a lot casting set that's extremely elaborate, but they can always be put together with crap around your house. Rocks, sticks, coins, charms, things of that nature. That is like one of my favorite budget ways to do divination, because you can go very deep within your divination and get very detailed readings off of it without needing to have. So lot casting is, there's a couple of different methods of lot casting that exist, and some of them are closed and some of them are not. So if you're wanting to learn the traditional, really super traditional variety of lot casting, there is a book, and it's called Bones, Charms, and, oh my God, what is it called again? Bones, Charms, and 18 things open. I have to pull the name. I will do a video on it. There is some good resources. You can look up the origins of lot casting on learnreligions.com as well as the Britannica website. They have pretty in-depth, detailed information about the origins. Lot casting or osteomancy, which is like lot casting falls under the classification of osteomancy because we frequently see like bones and things tucked together in it. But lot casting dates all the way back to Mesopotamian era. It was seen very, very heavily in Afro-Caribbean traditions, so hoodoo, voodoo, santeria, things of that nature. But different alternative methods of osteomancy, lot reading, and bone casting cropped up all over the place. So in Norse traditions, the runes that they would read were frequently originally put on bone or put on bits of wood and things of that nature. In closed practices, so hoodoo, voodoo, and santeria, there's a very specific way that there's a layout. So there's usually a circular area that's drawn out. It's divided into quadrants. And then each of the quadrants have a different meaning. So you combine the meaning of whatever charm or lot has fallen in that quadrant and then what that quadrant means. This is specifically to closed practices, whereas generally what you see with a lot cast or these days in like modern witchcraft, what you'll see is somebody who has either a tray or a plate and they're lots. When you throw the lots, anything that doesn't stay on the plate is invalid for the reading. Anything that's on the plate is interpreted in accordance to what charms are put closely to it. I always recommend, though, learnreligions.com and the Britannica website. And then, I wish I remember what the name of this book was. Bones, Charms. I'm going to have to pull this book after for you because I'm not going to find it tonight. Yeah, I'm not going to find it tonight, but there is origins that lie in Afro-Caribbean nature or belief systems, which is like our closed off lot casting. But even indigenous people used different varieties of bones and sticks and things of that nature and threw them in order to interpret or divine outcomes. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was using normal playing cards for divination. So when we talk about using normal playing cards for divination, we're talking about applying our suits in the same or a similar way as what we would apply our suits in tarot. You're obviously going to be lacking your trump cards in that situation because the way that a playing card deck is laid out is different than what a tarot deck is, but you're still able to do very accurate divination with just a normal playing card deck. So pentacles are diamonds, wands are clubs, swords are spades, and cups are hearts. And your numbers are going to apply all the way across. So aces are new beginnings, 2 is balance needed, 3 is teamwork, 4 is this. So all of those numbers are going to still apply, but you're going to be able to do very in-depth divination with just a card deck. And for people who are learning how to read tarot, I very, very highly recommend that you learn the suits in a normal tarot deck because that will allow you to be able to do divination. Swords were, okay, so cups are hearts, pentacles are diamonds, wands are clubs, and swords are spades. And then, so you would go along with that with numerology. So aces are new beginnings or new things starting. 2 is balance or balance coming in. 3 is an indicator of like teamwork and needing to work harder. Do you suggest sleeping with your tarot deck under your pillow to connect to it. I mean, you can if you want to like pick up on its energy, but I think that you're a lot better off to like do practice readings and things like that and do like interviews with your tarot deck to get to know it over sleeping with it under your pillow. It just gives you, it's just a better way to connect with it. And when I say interviewing your tarot deck, I mean asking it questions like, what are you here to help me with? How long are we going to be working together? Is there a specific thing that you're wanting me to work on? Like interviewing your tarot deck, asking it like, what kind of vibes do you give off? What's the major topic that you want to work on with me? Yeah, I do that too. If I've got a tarot deck in front of me, I will sit and shuffle it just for something to do. And that is a really good way to pick up on the energy of a deck. Yeah, I've had people tell me that you should sleep with a tarot deck under your pillow. Just in my personal opinion, I don't see that doing an awful lot to help you to learn the energy or anything like that with the deck. You're better off to work with it hands-on than to work with it hands-off. For sure. But learning how to utilize numerology within tarot is going to be really good for you guys. It'll make things a lot easier. And also remembering how to read with your normal playing cards. For pendulum workings, even though pendulum working can be a little bit iffy, to make a pendulum, you literally only need like something to hang something off of and something to weight it at the bottom. Once you've got whatever you've decided to put together for a pendulum, then you want to calibrate that pendulum and cleanse it. Cleansing it can be sound cleansing. It can be fair enough, right? You can sound cleanse, you can smoke cleanse, you can toss it on some salt for a couple days. But before you go ahead and start doing any like really serious readings with that homemade pendulum, you're going to want to calibrate it and ask it quite a few questions and make sure that you're getting consistent answers out of it. So like if you were to take a necklace and turn it into a pendulum, before you would, you could use like a rock tied to a string. You could use I could use my necklace that I have on right now. I don't want to take it off because it's a pain in the ass to take off, but you can use something like this and just hold it up and calibrate it. That's another really easy way to get, I like that idea a lot. That's another really easy and affordable way to go about practicing witchcraft without needing to go and buy a whole bunch of new stuff. Another really easy way that you guys, for divination, for broke witch witchery, cinnamon sticks. Yeah. So if you guys have been around for a while, you guys know that I read bones. And the same way that you would like ask the bones a question and throw them to get your cross touch or not touching, you can use cinnamon sticks for that. You can use matches for that. You can use sticks for that. As long as you calibrate and put your intentions that these are divination tools and cleanse them properly, you can use any of that kind of stuff. You can also use like a normal coin for yes or no's and assign a particular side to be a yes and a particular side to be a no. It's really like witches back in the day used whatever they had. So this idea that you have to have all of the tarot decks, all of the herbs, all of the candles, all of the jars, all of the everything, it doesn't make sense because back in the day, people just worked with whatever they had. Don't be afraid to be creative in your practice and do things that might be a little bit out of the box a little bit, okay? Because sometimes that brings in the best results. Do you guys have any follow-up questions for me right now? I'm trying to I'm going to go into questions like Q&A now for a little bit and then probably call or quits. Or do you guys have any suggestions for topics? And it doesn't, if you guys have questions tonight, it doesn't have to be pertaining particularly to this topic. At this point, I'm willing to start answering other questions as well. Yeah, you could use fish tank water. So, algae, depending on if there's algae and growth on it, algae has some pretty good antioxidant properties. So, like, you could probably utilize it for that. However, if you wanted to, like, utilize it for, like, the stinky, nasty, stagnant water, you can also use it that way. But again, keep in mind whether you've got algae and shit like that in there, or whether it's pretty clean water. And then also keep in mind that fish tank water has a lot of chemicals in it. So you're going to want to be aware that the chemicals within there can affect the outcome of what you do as well. Chlorine and stuff, that can all have a chemical effect on the water. So you have to be aware that you're working within that. Hey, Bam, do you think I could incorporate intention and spell work into coloring books? Yes, absolutely you can. If you picked a coloring book and you had a particular kind of outcome or situation that you wanted to deal with, what I would recommend that you do is pick an image that aligns with that and then utilize color magic within there. So add colors to it that would add the properties that you were hoping to see. I feel like cinnamon is underrated, very much. Cinnamon can be used for so many things. Cinnamon sticks can be great for protection. You can use them for divination. Cinnamon is an amplifier. It's great for health. It's great for protection. It's good for money. Cinnamon does so many different things. Have I worked with the Thoth Tarot, and do I have any opinions? I love the Thoth Tarot. I adore that deck. That deck was my very first tarot deck that I ever owned, and someone gifted it to me. And I find that the imagery in that deck is just absolutely stunning. I've always vibed really beautifully with it. I've always had a good energy with it. I do find that it's a little bit more of a difficult deck to learn just because the images are so far off from what traditional imagery would be. And when I say traditional, I'm referring to like the Rider or like the before and after tarot, which have that pretty neutral imagery to it. But the Thoth Tarot is a freaking awesome deck. It is an awesome deck. I'm actually really sad because I had that in the full size deck, and then last year I got a mini of it because I really wanted that deck back, and then I got wet and it got ruined, and I now don't have that deck again for like the third time, but I love that tarot deck. In my opinion, coloring is good for meditation. Very good for meditation. Absolutely. Coloring is great for meditation. If you're interested in getting the Thoth Tarot and you want a good book to go along with it, I have a couple of good recommendations for that. And I will get them. Where did that other one go? Where did my other tarot book go? Okay. So I lied. I have one because I can't find the other book. This is a really, really, really good book. Okay, this is called it's called Understanding Aleister Crowley's Thoth Tarot, and it's by Lon Milo Duquette. So this is a really, really, really good book for the Thoth Tarot. It goes super in depth. It talks very heavily about the imagery within it, as well as giving you a lot of back information on Crowley, who we don't fully love. But it's got some stuff about numerology, the Tree of Life, and things of that nature in here as well. It talks about the imagery on the back of the cards and the crosses on there. They're called the Hermetic Rose Cross is what's on the back of it. This is probably the best book that I've found as a companion book for that tarot deck. It is super in-depth. And it has, so it's got quick divinatory meanings in the back of it too. So if you kind of draw a blank and you don't want to go through the whole process of like a page and a half of detail on one particular thing, you can hit up the back glossary here and just pull the divinatory meanings of the cards very quickly. This is a particularly good book though for that deck. This has always been my favorite book to use for that deck. I don't remember how much this book cost. This was one that I bought. A lot of my books were given to me, but this one I bought, and I don't remember how much it cost when I got it, but it's a very good book. I can put a link for it if you want in my link tree, if you're really interested in the book. It also talks about different methods of divination with this particular tarot deck. And then it's got the glossary of thematic and tarot terms. So there's a lot of really, really good information in this book. And this book has been like well used. Very well used by me. In the time that I did have my Thoth deck, which is, I don't now, but I'm like, which is sad. It's a very sad day. But this is a good one. There was another one. It's called Tarot Mirror to the Soul. And it's also very heavily circulated around the Thoth Tarot. And it is by... So it's called Tarot Mirror of the Soul, and it's a handbook for the Aleister Crowley Tarot. And it is written by Gerd Ziegler, which is a really, really good book as well. It's not quite as in-depth as this one, because it's like quite literally, that was the other book that I was going to actually grab that I can't find right now. But it's another really good book that's based on the Crowley Tarot. And that's another one that was it was sort of made to go with the Thoth deck. There is very, very few situations where you're going to buy the Thoth deck and actually get a guidebook and stuff with it. Like, it just doesn't happen that way. You don't get it. You have to buy the deck and buy the book. It's kind of stupid. It kind of sucks. And it's more expensive. But both of those books are really good for the Crowley deck, if that's something that you're interested in reading with. And I wholly approve that deck. I love that deck. Like, that was one of the first ones that, well, it was the first tarot deck that I owned. And when I got it, the person who taught me how to read tarot was like, are you sure that that's the one that you want? Because that's like a hard deck to read. It's not an easy deck. And I was like, yeah. $14.88 on Amazon. See? That's a good price for it, because I'm pretty sure I paid a lot more than that for it. Oh. Okay, so when I bought this book, it was $35 for the book, because I just found the receipt for it. This takes me back to old days, because I bought the Aleister Crowley Tarot, the Enochian Tarot kit, and then this book. And I spent fucking $100. And I don't have either of the tarot decks, which is kind of disappointing. The Enochian Tarot is $32.54 on that's not bad. That's similar to what I paid for mine. So yeah, the Enochian Tarot is another deck of tarot cards that a friend of mine really wanted to read with, and we were shopping, and I got that deck of cards, and then he wanted the Enochian Tarot, but it was expensive, and he was like, I can't afford this, and I was like, I can, and so I bought it for him, and then made him learn how to read it, and it was a fucking nightmare. Yeah, it's more expensive. Everything's more expensive in Canada. Absolutely everything is more expensive in Canada. All right, so we went over. Do you guys have any kind of closing up questions for me tonight? Any quick questions? I'm thinking we're getting to the end of it here. And I know you guys wanted to see a dollar store witchy shopping where I take you guys shopping live. I'm going to do that for y'all. I'm absolutely going to do that. I need to do like a tarot recommendation book, like a whole. Can you carve sigils on veggies and put them in a stew? Yes, you absolutely can. 100% you can. You totally can. I love that idea. Just like you can carve sigils into your meat too before you cook it. Yeah, if you guys want a US dollar store witchcraft shopping spree, Bree will do that because that's more accessible for you guys than what I have because I'm in Canada. But I know that was requested in our last live. Yeah, you can absolutely carve sigils. You can carve sigils into your meats, potatoes, breads, cakes, anything like that. That was why I focused on teaching you guys how to make sigils in this class, because I find that sigils are just the easiest, most customizable way to create something unique for your spell work with a very, very little cost. Very little cost. I want to do like a whole like cooking show, like a whole live where I teach you guys about witchcraft cooking. You screenshotted I'm going to be uploading all of the whole Sunday school up on my up on YouTube. So if you guys want the sigil making method or you need to rewatch it for whatever reason, it will be uploaded on YouTube so that you guys have access to it. And then it'll talk you through the whole thing. Bam Bam's Witchy Kitschy, right? Start doing cooking shows. I think that like the deities are pushing me to do cooking shows because it'll force me to have to cook more. They're like, you need to learn to cook. Go cook. Cookies. Do cookies. Cookies are always good. You know what? You're not going to be you're not always going to be in the mood for cake, but you know what you're always in the mood for? Cookies. Always. That's why I always say cookies. Cookies and muffins. Muffins are another really good baked thing that you can use for witchcraft because they're smaller and they're bite-sized, right? But if you need, like, stop living off of chicken fingers and mac and cheese, I mean, essentially. All right, my friend, thank you so much for joining us and being here for Sunday school. I'm not sure I think we're going to go over basic herbs next time. We're going to talk about some herbs and their uses and substitutions. How do we feel about that? I want to do astrology stuff as well with you guys eventually, but I'm trying to like plan that one out a little bit more because it's more in depth. So I think we're going to talk about herbs and their uses and their substitutions. And we're also going to talk about the medicinal end of things with that as well. Because like I told you guys, medicinal is so important for utilizing within your magic too. So many people I think there's a similar video on herbs on your YouTube. There is, I do have videos about herbs on my YouTube. I have a Sunday school that I did talking about herbs as well, but it was a year ago, so it's going to be more of a refresher for you guys. More types of unpopular divination. Yeah, okay, we can do that. Unpopular divination. Methods and their origins. Yeah, we can totally do that. Another one just off the top of my head is divination with matches. You can get yes and no answers from a match. So what you do is you light a match and you ask the question while the match is still lit, and then you drop it into a thing of water and let them settle until they stop moving. If they drift away from each other, it's a no. If they touch, it's a yes. That's a really good way to get quick yes and no answers. Yeah, would you guys be interested in Stregeria? Because that's what Bree does. And if Bree would like to take over and do a lesson on that, I would be more than willing to let her do that. I would actually learn a lot. I'd be sat down with my notebooks being like, yes, let's take notes. It's Italian folk witchery. Traditional Italian folk witchery. I would be really interested in that class. So I think we're going to have to make that a thing, Bree. It's going to be your time to shine, baby boo, because I don't know enough about that to teach on it. But if you want to, I'm sure that that would be a really, really good lesson to teach. So I'm so for it. I will be sat down with my notes ready to go on that because I find cultural practices to be really, really fascinating. And there are a few things that I do know that come from Italian folk magic, but I don't know enough about them to teach on them or to practice them. So I just stay in my own not Italian folk magic lane. I just stay in my little indigenous working with dead things and not in that. But that would be enough. I would love to get other people who teach different kinds or practice different kinds of witchcraft from what I do to come on and teach about their end of witchcraft. And the reason that I want to have those people come on and teach it instead of me teaching like what I already know about it to you guys is because they can give you better information. It's underrated. It is underrated. Is most of it an open practice? I believe so. Yeah, I would very much like to do that and teach on that or have you teach on that one day. Very much. I don't think it's a closed practice so much as it's something that you learn. It's an ancestral practice. So you learn it through word of mouth. There's not a lot of like written down. Tread lightly if you're not Italian. There's not a lot of written down information on it. Most of it is familial and passed down through word of mouth or through traditions. And just like anything that's a cultural practice, like Bree just said, tread very lightly, be very respectful, and be conscientious of where those practices come from. Yeah, you better be careful because a certain somebody that we both know might whip in here if you give out too many of the family secrets. So chicken strips, I'm currently looking into trying to find a place where people can get free DNA testing done. I'm trying to find free DNA testing because I have so many people who ask about it and so many people who are interested in learning more about their lineage. So once I find a good, reliable place to get that done, I'll send you some links for it. I haven't found anywhere yet that's good and reliable, but there are places where you can get free DNA testing done. I have to verify whether the places are good or not before I'm going to start giving out that information. If I find something that's good, I'll probably put a link to it in the link tree in my bio. Yeah, they're expensive. They're definitely expensive to get done, but it's worth it to get them done. It really is. Getting like I've never had one done, but I've also had like my family is very like in touch with our genealogy and things of that nature. Yeah, watch for Black Friday for sure. Yeah, like we've had my family, we did a lot of our genealogy quite far back. So there was no need for that. Like there was already all the historical stuff that we needed. But if you're somebody who doesn't know what your cultural practices are, that's a really good step. Is there a lot of adoption within your family at all? Because I know that there are free tests that go out that you can get as an adoptee to get your ancestry done. Because otherwise you kind of have to do it. You either have to pay for it until I find a better website or go through the whole process of doing genealogy. And that is very difficult. It is a very difficult, long process. Like I know within my family, when they did all the genealogy, it took years to get all of that down. Okay. I'm going to have to look into that because if you yourself are not an adoptee, you won't qualify for it. Fuck it. Let's just do a quick Google search here. Ooh, that'll be interesting. The Finnish side of things should be a lot of fun. Finnish paganism sounds like something that I don't want to fuck with. I'm going to have to do more digging for free DNA. This is not going to be a quick Google search, but I'm going to find some stuff for you guys to make it more accessible. Yeah, Finnish paganism, it does. Yeah, I was going to say it would be close to Norse type of stuff. Definitely. Absolutely. For you, chicken strips, DNA testing would be the easiest. to find out where you need to go with stuff, and it'll give you a good amount of background on like what is more dominant and what is not. Yeah, for those kinds of situations, you definitely want to start with DNA type testing and then move forward from there. I'm going to start, I'll do more digging to find free DNA kits for you guys, for sure, because I think a lot of us need it. But that's going to be a project for later. I'm going to have to dig into that a little bit more. I'm now just like scribbling on a piece of paper because I'm running out of attention span, which is not great. No. Not if they're equal siblings. No. So if you have siblings that are the same parents on both sides, no. Their ancestry is going to be similar, almost identical all the way across the board. Blood quantum or blood dilution doesn't it stays pretty consistent throughout the generations of people. So it wouldn't be likely that you would see a sibling with more of one variety of DNA unless they had like a different parent. That would be the only circumstance that you would really see that. You would see different amounts of certain things within different generations, but not siblings. No. So I think, I've asked a few times, but do we have any more questions for tonight? Because my doggo wants to go outside and I need to eat some supper. So I might jump off here. I think we're just about getting done. We'll give it about another 5 minutes and then I'm going to jump off and let my dog go out and eat some dinner and stuff. Just give you guys, and then I will upload tonight's episode of Sunday School to my YouTube channel tomorrow if you missed it. And I will be back on Tuesday night to do tarot. Don't forget, you guys, I have set up a new booking system in my Linktree so you guys can book tarot readings, consultations, and spell work with me directly through PayPal, and it'll give you a setup of what my scheduling is, what days I have available, and what days I am not available, as well as setting you guys up with notifications to remind you of any appointments or shit like that that you have with me, because, you know, we're trying to do it all profesh. Aside from that, I think we're just about closed off for the night. Like I said, if you guys have any more quick questions, we'll go over them. If not, then I think I'm going to close her down for the night. Tonight's Sunday school went really well, you guys. Last Sunday, it was a little bit, I do believe I have an ad. We can find stuff like that. Rachel, if you send me like your family name and stuff like that, like your last name and shit, I can also do some digging on your ancestry and some genealogy stuff for you as well on my end. I have kind of a weird one. What's the weird question? Thank you for being here, Rockabilly. Thank you so much, you guys. Okay, specifically for your buddy. What is that? Thank you for being here, Bree. It was a really good one. Yeah, hopefully you're able to be on camera next week. Oh, for your baby. What's that? I'm more than happy to answer questions for the bubby. I'm debating on whether or not I'm going to do herbs next class, or if we're going to do the weird or not common divination. I'm trying to decide what would be better for y'all. Herbs probably would be better. It did get filtered out. I didn't see the question. I'm glad you were able to make it in for the live. Very much. It's nice to have, like, I've got a good little group of y'all that come in here for Sunday school, and it's always a good time. I'm also going to make a note on the bottom of my piece of paper. You caught the tail end of it. You did. That I want to talk about connecting with ancestors. With ancestors and cultural practices. I definitely want to cover that, because a lot of what I do is divination. Like, I do a lot of different types of divination, and I think that doing different types of divination and also going over some of the less common ones can make it really accessible for people. They refiltered if you put that comment in there, that question in there, they've filtered it again because I still haven't seen it. Mm-hmm. Also, while I'm having a squirrel moment, can I show you guys this, like, really nice stick that I brought home with me? Because I feel like you guys are witchy and you would appreciate it. Can I show you guys my new stick? Would my milk be good? Very, very, very good for protection workings and very good for health related workings as well. Very, like, particularly, okay, so this is going to sound really weird, but if you're doing, like, healing for someone who has a lot of problems with, like, skin conditions and shit, breast milk is, like, amazing for that. It is so good for that kind of thing. I would definitely save it. Not only is it great for healing and protection workings, but also I was going to say nurturing properties, and it can also be used to like if you're doing a working for something like a job working, you can put drops of breast milk in there to nurture that and allow it to grow into what you want it to be. Yeah. Definitely save it if you can. If you can hang on to a little bit, and it is such a potent thing that you don't need a lot. You would only need very, very little of it, so you wouldn't need to save a lot, but I would definitely recommend that you hang on to it. That would be a very good ingredient. But yeah, there's lots of there's health and there's freeze and save. Yeah, for sure. There's health benefits medicinally from it as well, but you can definitely use it in spell work for sure. Oh, I was going to show you guys my stick. Hold on. I'm going to show you my stick. So, this my stick. It's large. It's not a small stick. It's a very big stick. But it was kind of looked like it's seen some better days, but real twisted and gnarly looking. So I was walking home from the store and I brought it home with me. It's my new stick. Oh, yeah, you could utilize that. You could definitely use it in spell work. Yeah, this is my new stick. This stick that I just randomly brought home with me one day and just yell at my dog not to chew on it whenever he comes back. Yeah. I've been eyeballing this stick for a hot minute, and then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to bring it home with me. Absolutely just going to bring it home with me. All right, you guys. I think that's going to be it for the night because my dog is looking at me sadly and wanting to go outside in the snow. So I'm going to go let him out, and I'm going to go eat some dinner because I haven't done that. And it is now 25 to 9. Yeah, people called me weird for it too, but I don't think it's weird at all. I was also the weirdo kid building potions in the backyard, so for sure. All right, my friends, I'm going to jump off of here. I will upload this to YouTube tomorrow. Bro, I ate dirt. I mean, my younger sister ate shoes, so I've heard worse. Look at this, you guys. Whoa, he's a pathetic boy. Henry, who's a pathetic baby. Oh, do you need to go outside? Go outside. So sad. Oh gosh. I ate bones. I know, right? So neglected. He's clearly living a hard life. Henry. 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 Henry James. Man, I thought you wanted to go outside. Isn't that why you're laying by the door pathetically? Or are you just going to ignore me now? You're super neglected and super sad. Certain level of depresso espresso going on there. Well, you better watch. You almost smacked your face off the corner. You sad? I'm sad, baby. Oh, he's so sad. Henry gets to make his nightly appearance on my fucking TikTok live. Literally. Like he's waiting to go outside, but he won't make it look like he's waiting when I put him on camera. He's like, no, I'm being super patient. But really, he's like turning around and looking at me like, bitch, are you gonna just leave me here or what? All right, you guys, I'm gonna jump off here. Thank you for being here tonight. I've said goodbye 13 times, and that's very typical Polish person, but I'm actually going to go this time, okay? Okay, I love you guys. I will upload this tomorrow. We will see you next week, and I will post what we're going to do next week once I fucking figure it out, okay? Okay, great. Love you. Love you. Bye. Good night. We'll see you next time. I'm going to go now. Goodbye.